right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the That Fit Friend podcast. I'm Rachel Sinek, and we are joined today by the one and only Austen Alexander. Let's go,
That's a great
Austen.
intro. Thank you very much. I
Yeah,
like
thanks for
this.
being here, man.
Of course, of course.
So, for those that don't know who you are, Austen, let me give them a little intro to you.
I'm not good at this. I'm not good at compliments, but I'll try to take it as best as possible.
All right, let's see what I can cover as far as because there's so many things to mention. Let's see. You are, I mean, first of all, entrepreneur. You're the founder of Battle Bunker Bus, the Hypercon games, YouTube content creator. You are a U.S. Navy veteran, and let's see, fitness enthusiast. What what
Yes.
what did I miss?
That's pretty much it. I don't really put a title on myself. When people say, "What do you do?" There's really no explanation. I'm like, I
Yeah,
just have fun and just love my life. I like to work out, and I base all of my what I do around my workouts and challenges.
yeah, that's legit, and I'm 100% on board. I love it. I love that
Thank you.
message.
Thank you.
So let's let's start by just kind of taking it back. Let's take it back to the early days here, or let's say you were in the U.S. Navy.
I
So
was.
let's go back to kind of what is your athletic background or sport background prior to joining the Navy, and then what led you into that direction?
I I don't really have a sporting background. I never really played official sports. I mean, I played
Okay.
B team basketball and I was okay. I was never. I'm pretty average at everything, but that's the good thing is I can do a wide array of things. I played soccer for the city league. I played basketball for my church. I played basketball for my high school. We play kick the can, which is a really athletic game in Alabama.
Nice.
Played some tennis, and my love for fitness, I actually hated fitness when I played sports. We would have to go lift and things like that, like for basketball.
Hmm.
And I hated going to the gym. I remember the first exercise that I became acquainted with was trap, like
Drugs?
shrugs. I don't know why I was thinking
I mean, it
trap
is your
lifts.
traps.
Yeah,
It's still
shrugs.
accurate.
And I can just remember doing shrugs and thinking this is so stupid. Like, why are we doing this in basketball? And anyways, I was never really I didn't really find myself until I found fitness. And that came from I was 19 years old and my brother said, "Let's go to the gym." I was like, "Why? That's stupid." And he started going to the gym and I saw changes in him and he started to look like good, fit, lean, and I said, "I want to look like this." So I started going to the gym with my brother and we just did curls all the time. And
Yeah.
then my arms started gaining some size. I said, "Man, this is really working." So I started working shoulders and chest. It was never hardly any running, no swimming, no legs. It
Hmm.
was just like
Yeah.
lifting weights for bodybuilding. And that's when I first felt like, hey, there's nothing else like this that I've ever experienced. I'm changing my body. I'm becoming disciplined and just everything, the steps that you follow in order to get there is I loved it. And that was my intro to fitness. I was like 19 years old. So
Okay.
people think, oh, you must have been lifting weights since you were 13. No, I was 19.
Yeah. A late bloomer. No, I mean
Yes.
that's not like that late. I don't think it's ever too late to get into it, to be honest. But so you play well, basketball seemed to be a theme there. So basketball
Yes.
guy.
I
Uh,
did play basketball. I did not. I was always very active because that's all there was to do. My parents would throw us into sports, which I'm very grateful for.
yeah.
And I had to run a lot from my brother, chasing me with the shovels and screwdrivers and throwing mud at me. So I had to be agile and I had to survive.
Yeah.
And f-
Survival.
and fighting with my brother, from age until I was a baby, or since I was a baby till like
Yeah.
18, I had to be fit and survive.
Yeah.
So that, I was
Sibling
always
survival.
I was pretty quick and never really strong at all. But I wasn't just this, inactive person. I was always very active and running and jumping in the woods and riding four wheelers and jumping in the lakes and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's important to do as you're younger and growing
Hmm.
up to have that kind of active background. Like, not necessarily lifting in any sense, but just to be able to have those sports and the coordination and the ability to just move around as a human.
Hmm.
I think it's
Yeah.
important.
And
Uh,
nowadays, like kids have all these devices and they're not getting active,
yeah.
so they don't really have the know-how, or they don't know what it feels like to be active and to be, fit, which is
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah. Definitely a changing environment for sure. But
Hmm.
hopefully the sports stay alive. I think that, I mean, you can learn so much just from playing sports, being on a team, that whole concept. So
Hmm.
I think it's important.
For sure.
But okay, so that was kind of how you got into the lifting world. So then how did you end up joining the Navy? What was that whole background?
So I was 19 at the time. I had dropped out of college and I'd started going to the gym with my brother. And it was kind of like an everyday thing. I'd text him like, "Hey, where you at?" "I'm at the gym. I'm at Max Fitness." "Okay, cool." I'd meet him over there. Or "I'm at the YMCA." I'd meet him over there and we'd work out. And my parents were going through a tough divorce. It was never
Okay.
never abusive. It was just tough on us and tough on the family. And I thought like, "Hey, I have to fend for myself." At the time I was working, I was cutting grass full time
Okay.
and for the city of Florence Parks and Rec Department. I loved it. I took a lot of pride in it. And thinking back now, it's such a simple task and such an easy job. But I looked at it like I was locked on. I took it very seriously. I did a great job and it allowed me to advance a little bit. Um, so when my parents were going through the divorce, a buddy of mine said, "Hey, dude, I'm going to join the Navy. There's not anything else for me in Alabama. I need to get out of here." And I was like, "All right, good luck with that." I don't really have a big military family. My grandpa was in the Army and my uncle was in the Coast Guard, but they
Okay.
were they were my grandpa was reserve, and I never saw him go through any deployments or anything like that. And then my uncle got deployed to Kuwait, but not a big military family at all. And I said, "Good luck with that." I had never considered the military. He said, "Dude, just meet me there. I just want your support." And I said, "Okay." So I met him in the office, walked in. Usually I just get attacked by recruiters, especially the Marine recruiters. And Chief Thornton, the recruiter that was in the station, was like, "Sup?" I was like, "Sup?" And that's all he said to me. And I was like, this is pretty cool. I guess not all recruiters are the same. So Taylor was in there just signing paperwork saying, "Get me out of here, get me out of here." And before I left, Chief Thornton said, "Hey, do you want to join the Navy too?" I was like, "Nope." He said, "Okay, well, just take this pamphlet. Nice to meet you." I was like, "All right, thanks." I took it. It was a Navy SEAL pamphlet. Everybody looks at the Navy SEAL pamphlet. They're like, "Oh, cool. I want to be a Navy SEAL." I didn't know anything about Navy SEALs at all. I Googled it. I was like, Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
And I saw it. I was like, "Oh, this looks pretty cool." I didn't think about the pipeline. I didn't have any knowledge. Didn't even watch any military movies, nothing.
Okay.
And I'm the type of person that makes decisions like in a moment's notice. And I'm a terrible planner. I'm a great executor. So I went home, I looked at the pamphlet. I said, "I want to do this." So I went back to the recruiting station the next day by myself. I said, "Sign me up. I want to do this." And he's like, "All right." Gave me some paperwork. He said, "You'll go to MEPS." And got to MEPS. They said, "Your eyesight's terrible. Can't be SEAL, but here are some other options for you." And now I sound like one of those stories. "I wanted to be a SEAL, blah, blah, blah." But my eyesight disqualified me before I even entered
Okay.
the pipeline. So
Gotcha.
they said, "You can be EOD or you can be air rescue, you can be dive." I said, "Well, I hate the water. Let's try to be a diver, try to conquer my fear of the water." So I signed the diver contract and I started taking the physical screening test. So that's how I segued into the Navy. I just felt
Okay.
I felt the need to build myself into something, and I saw the military as a great way to do that.
Yeah. So I mean, interesting point that so you were in college and you dropped out of college.
Yes.
What didn't you like about that experience?
I think In high school, my parents were like, you will go to high school, you will get your diploma. It was not optional. College, for my parents, they're like, okay, we'll provide the resources for you to go to college. We got grants and everything like that. But to me, it was optional. And I, the way the school system teaches you, at the time, I'm like, well, I must be stupid because my
Mm,
grades were not good. I I couldn't stand when they would cover a subject and I would understand it, but someone would raise their hand and ask about it, and we'd talk about it for another hour. And I was like, this is just a waste of time. This is a waste of my time. Why is this happening? And
yeah.
and to me, I'm like, I don't need to know about the history of Arkansas's agricultural movement. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was like, well, I guess I'm a big dummy. And because that's kind of the way the school system teaches you. Like, if you don't get good grades on this test,
Sure.
you're not smart.
Yeah.
And so I just dropped out. I said, I don't want to subject myself to this anymore. I'm just going to drop out and I'm just going to cut grass,
Okay.
which is funny. And
Landscaping, you know?
landscape, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was not excelling in schoolwork, but I was excelling at on the job training, and I was the best weed eater. I was the best mower. They put me on the
Yeah.
most expensive and the most detailed oriented jobs.
Nice.
So I felt the feeling of like I was accomplishing something, you know?
Yeah.
And here's this 19-year-old guy taking on like driving a big ass 16-foot trailer with $40,000 of gear on it. Like
Yeah.
it was a big thing.
Yeah.
And I just came to the realization I said I didn't like college. I know that was long-winded, but that's why
No,
I
I
dropped
mean, I
out.
think, yeah. So at that point, I mean, being 19, it's so young, like trying to figure out what you want to do with your life. Did you
Hmm.
have an idea? Like, you were clearly doing landscaping stuff, but like,
Hmm.
did you have any idea of like, I think this is what I want to do? Or like, where was your head at the time?
Yeah, I really loved music and car audio. So
Okay.
I, when I went to, when I signed up for college, I said, I want to get an electrical technology degree. I want to
Okay.
install car audio in cars full time
Nice.
because
Okay.
I love doing it. And, I was learning about capacitors and resistance and how to calculate ohms of a speaker and
Yeah.
like all this stuff. And I was like, this is a little more than I just like to hook up. I just like to hook up red and black and then listen to
Yeah.
music. And so I did have an interest there, but I had never,
Okay.
I didn't experience life enough to know exactly what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And there was something else out there that I loved even more, which was fitness.
Yeah.
And my friend and I was a little entrepreneurial. My friend and I had a little car audio business called Big Bang Car Audio. We would install
Okay.
tweeters for people like, hey, give me
Nice.
$10 and I'll spend 3 hours installing these tweeters for you. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But I would earn back in Alabama when you earn, $100 over a weekend, it was a big deal. Like
Yeah.
I got $100 bill in my pocket. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go spend it at Zaxby's and I'm gonna go to the mall and buy a shirt.
Yeah.
So so that's what I was doing. So at the same time I was cutting grass every Saturday, my friend Sam would be like,
Okay.
hey, I have 3 installs ready for you. And I would just go install car audio in people's cars and make, 150, 100, $200. So that's where my interest was at the time. Yeah.
Gotcha. So there was some entrepreneurial kind of background there that maybe you weren't aware of at the time, but it was definitely there.
Yes.
But so then you started lifting with your brother. Then you joined the Navy.
Hmm.
So let's talk about the Navy experience then, because you
Okay.
had no idea of like what that was even going to be like. So I want to
No.
hear like how that went.
Yeah. So I joined the Navy, and the first time I had ever experienced that type of stress was I missed my plane to boot camp.
Oh man.
And the orders, you had your official orders from the US government.
Uh-huh.
And I called my recruiter. I said, "Hey, dude, I just need to know, like, am I going to get arrested? Please tell me, like." He's like, "Dude, you're fine. You're not going to get arrested. Just hang out and we'll reschedule you." So
Yeah.
that was the first time that I remember in the
Okay.
airport, me and a friend of mine that were coming from Florence, we missed the flight.
Dang.
And I had never even flown before. It was my first flight. I had
Oh, no
flown
kidding.
from Nashville to like North Carolina. We were supposed to get another flight from North Carolina to Chicago,
Uh-huh.
and I missed my flight to Chicago.
Oh,
And
geez.
anyways, we rescheduled it, and I hopped on a plane from North Carolina to Chicago, and they had signs like, "Hey, Navy boot camp this way, Navy boot camp this way," and they put us in the back of the airport, and I just see these. I thought they were petty officers at the time, but they were recent boot camp graduates. They were on hold,
Okay.
just yelling at people, and I'm like, and they were calling my name, like Austen Alexander, Austen Alexander, and so we had to sit there, just sit, and we had to close our eyes. And I'd never been experienced to this before. Never, like my dad yelled at me, of course, for
Sure.
discipline and things like that, but I had never had somebody that wasn't my family yell at me. So it was very, very off-putting. I'm like, is this supposed
Yeah.
to be happening?
Yeah.
It angered me. I had a lot of feelings, but I was just sitting there, and finally we get on the bus, and we're watching this video, like, welcome to Navy Recruit Training Command. You'll do this and you'll do this, blah, blah, blah. So it's just culture shock. I was just getting shocked left and right,
Yeah.
getting yelled at, watching these videos, like getting, getting poked with all these needles that I didn't know what they were. They were, um, like boosters and um, vaccinations and,
Yeah.
Hep B and Hep A, all this stuff.
Okay.
And just, it was culture shock. And I remember
Wow.
getting to my rack and in boot camp in this cold ass compartment with 90 other dudes that I did not know. And I said, I really made a mistake. This is going to suck. How am I going to do this for
Yeah.
8 weeks? And the first week, it was not, it was an uncomfortable feeling,
Yeah.
of course. So that was my intro to the military.
Yeah. Okay. So then you go through that basic training in the beginning, which I feel like they're trying to weed out some people that aren't gonna make it, right?
Hmm.
Um, so what's next? I mean, you signed up to be a diver in the diver program. Is that just how it works? You just sign up for something, they're like, okay, we'll put you in there.
No, no, not at
Okay.
all. I signed up in April, I believe, and I set my ship date out to December so
Okay.
I could take the physical screening test. And that was a part that I skipped over earlier. But every single, almost every week, I would go to a Huntsville, Alabama
Uh-huh.
with a proctor. His name was Coach Thomas. He was a Navy SEAL, former SEAL,
Okay.
and he would put us through these physical screening tests. It was a 500-meter swim, push up, sit up, pull up, and then a mile and a
Mm-hmm.
half run.
Okay.
And first time I took it, I was the I was amongst 10 people, and I said, "Man, all these people are going to crush me. I'm going to be the worst one." I was the only one that passed. So
Really?
over the next 7 months, I would take these PSTs, and I got better and stronger and faster and better
Yeah.
swimming, and I just became a machine. And by the time before I shipped, when I earned the dive contract, I had increased my scores almost double. My run
Wow.
time was like an 8:40 for a mile and a half. My
Nice.
swim time was like an 8:17. I was getting 16, 17 pull-ups, 80, 90 push-ups, 50, 60 sit-ups,
Yeah.
and I was a machine. And that 7 month time was when I really honed in on my training and just fell in love with the process. Every morning, 06 a.m. before work, I would go swim. After work, I would do a heavy lifting session or push-ups or calisthenics or whatever.
Okay.
And so that's how I earned my contract to Navy Dive. So there I am in the compartment in boot camp in the 800 division with
Mm-hmm.
90 other guys who were very physically fit, very well put together, that young gentlemen that wanted to achieve more with their lives.
Yeah.
So that part helped me get through is hearing their stories. Everybody came from a different background, but we were all together for a similar purpose.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I was ever introduced to camaraderie.
Okay. So then you said you were kind of preparing with these fitness tests. So were you basically on the side here, just kind of creating your own training and like, how can I get better at these things? And you just kind of made it up, or were you following somebody's training program? Like, what did the training look like on your end?
I remember, we had to do the combat side stroke for the 500-meter swim. And
Okay.
my proctor, Master Chief Belt at the time, he said, you have to know this combat side stroke. And I was like, okay, well, can you show me? He's like, oh, you're in Florence. I don't like, can't go to Florence. And
Yeah.
so I was on YouTube looking up Stu Smith instructional videos on how to do the combat side stroke.
Okay.
And they were Stu Smith, great training program, great guy, but the videos weren't the greatest. There was no in water thing. He was just like, hey, this is how you do combat side stroke. And
Okay.
I taught myself, me and Taylor, through 7 months would
Yeah.
would be at the YMCA with our life proof cases,
Uh-huh.
watching these videos,
No
trying to
kidding.
scan and watch and correct each other. And by the time that I shipped out, I had perfected that stroke. And I became obsessed
Gotcha.
with learning how to get good at the combat side stroke. Everything else was, I was never on a proper training program. I said, best way to get better at push-ups is do more push-ups. Best way to
Yeah.
get better at running and pull-ups and sit-ups is just do more.
Yeah.
So I would do my own little workouts, and it worked. It helped like crazy. I was using the pull-up assist machine. I was using the pull-up bands, which is a very popular thing we use with the Battle Bunker pull-up program.
Yeah.
And I was just teaching myself. There was no training that was given to me.
Gotcha. That's super cool though. So I mean then that helped you learn like
Yes.
how to improve. Like
Hmm.
what do I need to focus on? And then I
Hmm.
mean tailoring to your own weaknesses and improving on those. So that's
Hmm.
super cool. So then you're in the Navy.
I'm in the Navy.
How long were you in the Navy?
I was in the Navy for 7 years.
7 years. So
Yeah.
walk me through the 7 years. Like where did you end up? How did that progress?
Okay. So I shipped to boot camp December 13th, 2013. I went through
Okay.
the dive program. We have we had 4 weeks of basic engineering common core, which is a really intense, they call it NKO, Navy Knowledge Online, like online testing.
Okay.
And that I cruised through aquatic adaptabilities, learning how to knot tie and to do porpoising and to do things with your hands underwater, under pressure and all these things. And then we get to pool week, and they call it man day, which is where they just absolutely destroy you in the pool. They strap you up with twin 80s, 80-pound tanks on your back, and then 10-pound weight belt. They give you these
Oh wow.
big ass fins, which I had didn't really have a lot of experience with, and I didn't pass man day. I had grabbed the side of the pool, and they said get out, nonverbal DOR, and I said fuck. So
Shit. Okay.
before I knew it, like within an hour and a half, I had already signed myself out of the program, and they sent me back to re-rate.
Oh, interesting.
So
Okay.
ended up picking another job. I picked the I was so flustered. I didn't care what I wanted to do. I just wanted to get out, and I wanted to get out of the Navy. I said, get me out of here. So I signed up for Mastered Arms, which was Naval Security.
Okay.
And they shipped me off to Lackland, Texas. I went through MAA school. Really enjoyed it, actually. It was so much slower paced than the dive program. I said, this is actually really easy. I was the class leader. I'd taken those leadership skills I had learned through the 7 months of training myself, and then 5 or 6 months of training with the dive program. I was PT lead, class lead. I had taken initiative
Yeah.
and really stepped up to help these sailors get through MAA school. And so
Wait, what
that
does MAA stand for? Sorry.
MA is Mastered Arms. So
Master. Oh, okay.
which
That makes sense.
means you're trained with weaponry, but it's a
Got
whole
it.
lot more than that. We learn, we got OC sprayed, which is terrible. We learned how to do mechanical advantage control holds, like a lot of law enforcement things. Very,
Okay. Okay.
very basic law enforcement things. We learned the UCMJ and how to apprehend and a little bit of driving in there, and of course lots of weapons, how to
Hmm.
secure a scene, a little bit of forensics in there. There was a whole
Yeah. Wow.
lot of things that I learned in 7 weeks,
Dang.
and it was a good time. And then I
Yeah.
finally received my orders to Bahrain.
Okay.
And next thing you know, I was in Bahrain.
Yeah.
I stepped off the plane. It was like a hair dryer. It was 130 degrees.
Jeez.
And that's not exaggerating at all. It was actually
Oh
when
man.
I stepped off, it was like 130, like 1 degrees.
Hmm.
And it was me and two friends from A school. And then they imported us in, and everything was pretty relaxed. It wasn't like boot camp at all. I was like, oh, this is
Hmm.
pretty cool. So going through all the basic training, they yell at you and they're putting you in the pool with bricks, and you like feel like you're almost drowning. Bahrain wasn't like that at all. People were nice. People were cool. I was meeting chiefs and senior chiefs and master chiefs who were normal people. Like,
Yeah.
hey, MAS in Alexander, welcome to Bahrain. This is what you're going to be doing. The job was very hot and very long, and my sleep was not good at all. I'd work 15, 16 hours, then slam some pre-workout, go to the gym, and then go to sleep somehow.
Yeah.
And I did that for about 6 months, standing gate. You'd have an
Okay.
M4, and you just make sure traffic controlling was good, and you'd make sure nobody was doing any reconnaissance on the base. You'd use binoculars, and they'd put you out in the city, and you were law enforcement for the U.S. forces that were at Bahrain,
Okay.
and which had even a bigger mission. I mean, they were running missions to Kuwait and Iraq and everywhere, and we were
Got it.
just defensive support. And after that 6 months, they found out that I came from the dive program, that I could swim, that I could pass my swim qualification, and they said, we want you to do another swim qual and then come to the harbor division. And that's where my life changed.
Okay.
I got to drive fast boats in the harbor, taking a lot
Sweet.
more responsibility. I was a little more high speed. We were,
Yeah.
we were doing, we had our we call them frog skins in the Navy, but they were like tactical tops. And I'll show you one. This is an OCP one from the Army, but
Okay.
everybody wants the expeditionary
Yeah.
frog skin.
Sweet. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was out there in the frog skin, boots on blouse, just really Johnny Tactical.
Yeah.
And that was a blast. A year and a half I worked in the harbor patrol, learned how to
Okay.
drive boats in very aggressive conditions in the water,
Yeah. It's wild.
and I loved the challenge. I loved it. And from there, I bounced to Lemoore, California, where I deployed on the Carl Vinson for 7 months, and that was a that was an experience for sure. And then after that, I rotated to Seal Beach, California, where I spent another 3 years in the harbor patrol.
Okay.
And I had probably the best life that you can have in the Navy as an MA. I was in
Uh-huh.
California. I had
Yeah.
weekends and holidays off. I was working
Nice.
8 hour shifts, making great money,
Yeah.
having a blast.
Yeah. Okay. So what made you decide then, like where was the point where you're like, I'm ready to leave the Navy? Because I know you also started making videos while you were in the Navy.
hmm
So maybe we backtrack to that. Like when did that come into play? Did you have the idea of like, hey, I should start shooting some content while I'm here, day in the life, training? Like what made that come about?
I always had an interest in video. In,
Okay.
in in high school, I produced our class video. I also produced a show, a new show called Current Events, where we would just talk about sports and local weather and things like that. And
Nice.
it got so big, actually, they would play it every Friday. I would have that week's episode ready, and it was like a 7 or 8 minute thing, and they would
Hmm.
play it throughout the whole school, and I ended up selling DVDs, and so that I
Okay.
had a little entrepreneurial spirit and
Yeah.
video making in me, and so when I was in Bahrain and on deployment, my parents would be like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I was like, "Well, let me just show you." I bought a little GoPro. I started
Okay.
making little videos and editing them and sending them to my parents. Never really
Yeah.
posted them anywhere. And then when I got to Seal Beach, I said, I'm going to make some more videos. And I ended up posting a few of them online. People were like, "This is great, dude. Thanks for the workout tips." And I
Yeah.
became obsessed with it.
Okay.
At one point, I created 40 videos in 40 days. I said, I'm going to make
Wow.
a
Yeah.
video a day.
That's no
And
joke.
it's not, it's, I
Yeah.
taught myself the editing. And of course, I sucked at the editing at the time, but I think that's what made it real. There were
Yeah.
errors in my video and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so in 2018, I started publishing videos on YouTube, never with any type of motive other than just to share my life with people. And I really
Okay.
enjoyed it. It was my
Yeah.
favorite thing that I had ever experienced, almost better than fitness.
Yeah.
So I said, why don't I just combine these two? I love working out. I love making videos. Let's just make workout videos. So I would challenge
Yeah.
people and do all this stuff. And in 2019, I had a video that really took off. It got like 3, 4 million views.
Yeah. That's wild.
That one was, especially for a small time YouTuber with like 17,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
And the video title was Miss Olympia Attempts the Navy Physical Readiness Test. And
Okay.
I had taken one of my friends I had met at a fitness expo, and I put her through the the physical readiness test for the Navy, it blew up.
Yeah.
And still the earnings, I never thought like, hey, I'm gonna take this full time.
Yeah.
I was thinking like, this is too good to be true. Like, no way I can earn real money on this. I think I was making like $30, $40 a month from Google, but I was like, oh, this is cool. But when
Yeah.
that video blew up, I'd still earn like $300 or $400 from it, not much at all. And somebody commented on that video. They said, dude, you need to learn how to use YouTube. You need to turn
Yeah.
on all your monetization types
Yeah.
because you can really benefit from this.
Yeah.
So I went to the back end of the studio. I looked into it. So I activated all the ad types.
Okay.
And then the next million views, I earned like 4 grand, like 4,500.
Wow.
And I was like,
How nuts.
maybe there's something to this. Like I'm
Yeah.
earning my Navy salary monthly on one video that it took me 2 hours to make and 5 hours to edit.
Yeah.
I said, maybe there's something here. So I replicated it.
Yeah.
CrossFitters attempt the Navy physical readiness test. And I
Yeah.
activated all ad types. I posted the video. It got 1 or 2 million views. I think it's at 6 million views now. But I had
That's so
earned like
wild.
$8,000 or $9,000 on that video.
Yeah.
Just
That is
making
insane, man. How
making
cool.
making these videos I love to make, love to
Yeah.
share, and I was getting paid for it.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe there's something here. And I just kept doing it. I got better at the process. I learned the algorithms. This is before I was on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, just
Yeah.
strictly focused on YouTube. And by the end of 2019, I had earned just a little over my Navy salary.
That's
And I'm like,
crazy.
this is significant.
Yeah.
And then I got better at it and
Yeah.
better and better. And then in 2020, we had two videos that hit like 12 million views, 13 million views.
That is so nuts.
And I had earned my Navy salary by March in
Holy
2020.
cow. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 70 grand. And I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't touch the money. I was like, this is not real. Like, I have to give this away or something, pay taxes on it or something like that. And it was being deposited into my bank account, and I was just holding
Yeah.
it. And I I was in a lot of debt from my years in the Navy, just not knowing any financial fitness at all.
Hmm.
And so when I paid off that debt, it was like the greatest feeling ever.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is significant. And I started working with sponsors, which is another, $3,000 to $5,000 a month. And
Yeah.
I was earning by mid 2020, I was earning double what the Navy was paying me on YouTube. And
That
then
is so
it
wild.
was time to get out or re-enlist. And
Yeah.
I said, no, I don't. I was talking to my career counselor. I was like, I don't think I want to re-enlist.
Yeah.
I'm I'm doing something that I absolutely love, and I want to get out and take this full time. They're like, take YouTube full time? Like, are you an idiot? What are you talking about? And I had partnered with an agency at the time named a manager, Michael Gordon. He was my friend
Okay.
first, very
Yeah.
peculiar guy, and he just helped me through. He's like, yeah, dude, this is real money. Like, we have people making millions a year off YouTube. They're like, this is real, and you can do
Yeah.
it too. And so again, I mentioned that I'm a terrible planner and a great executor. I told the Navy, I'm getting out.
Yeah.
My contract ends in November. I'm getting out and I'm taking YouTube full time.
Yeah.
And so in November, I got out and pursued it full time.
No kidding. That is so wild. To see that like success and like that number of views so quickly is so insane. And so that's just so wild for me to think about. But I mean, it worked. You found something that literally worked and
Hmm.
it just happened to fall into like, this is exactly what I want to be doing. Like, how
Exactly.
amazing.
Hmm.
So, okay. So then you're out of the Navy. Now we're doing YouTube full time, which I mean, props to you because you've got over 1 million subscribers now, dude. That's,
Thank you.
hat off.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
um,
It took a while to get there. I've been doing it for 6 years now.
yeah.
And the cool thing about running your own business on YouTube is you can produce as little as you want or you can produce as much as you want. The sky's the limit.
Yeah.
And in the Navy, you're restricted. Like, you can be the best sailor ever. Like, I had like 4 or 5 collaterals. I was boat
Yeah.
PO. I was field training officer. I was ice and water PO, which is a BS job that makes you feel important. I was ACFL, taking up on command urinalysis coordinator.
Yeah.
I was taking on all these collaterals, and still I wasn't getting rank. I'm like, I'm putting in
Yeah.
all this time, 40 plus hours a
Yeah.
week, and I'm
Okay.
still limited by the system. So I
Mm.
loved being in control of my own success. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
But the downside of that was you're also at risk and at fault if you mess up.
Right.
Nobody,
Pros
bl-
and cons.
exactly, nobody to blame but yourself.
Yeah.
So the first month out, it was tough.
Okay.
Like, great executor, terrible planner.
Okay.
I got out, I stopped receiving the Navy paycheck. And my manager's
Yeah.
like, hey, you're going to have to start paying yourself from YouTube. I'm like, oh, that's right. And I'd signed a $3,000 lease on a property that I was filming battle bunker videos on. And I took on an
Okay.
editor and I took on expenses. So my expenses went from like maybe $1,000 or $2,000 a month up to $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
And
Dang. Okay.
I was under all this pressure to create, not
Mm-hmm.
only because it's fun anymore, because I had to
It's
do
your
it because it
job
was
now.
my job.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the first few months of 2021 were kind of dark for me. January,
Okay.
February, March, the bank account was going like this because
Mm.
I was paying out, like I think I was, not every month is great on YouTube. It's like a roller
Right.
coaster. It still
Yeah.
is for any entrepreneur. It is.
Yeah.
So I I struggled a bunch mentally getting, from the transition and to having to keep pushing forward to provide to pay my rent, you know, and it was not a cool time. So
Yeah.
everybody looks at me probably and they're like, "Oh, dude, YouTuber like just has a blast, awesome." It's not like that all the time. You still
Yeah.
deal with things and expenses and payroll and your own and
Yeah.
taxes most of all and everything. And in April, May, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna not care. I'm just gonna do this, and if it's meant to be, it'll be. I just started having fun with the videos. My personality came out somewhere. I was making cracking jokes, just having
Yeah.
fun. And the next few videos performed well. I think we got million plus views on it one, and then 1 or 2 million views on another one. And so
Yeah.
the expense to income ratio started to go like this and started to
Yeah.
curve. And throughout
Yeah.
2021, it started to really pick up again. And that's where I learned, hey, just be transparent. Don't let money control you. Don't let your expenses or stress control you. Just have a great time.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that ever since.
Yeah. So, I mean, at that point, I mean, you're out of the Navy. You're solely reliant on now the YouTube content stuff, which can be extremely stressful when it's like that's where your main income source is coming from. And like having to force creativity is always difficult. But
Mm.
I mean, what motivated you at that point is like, you know what, I need to keep going. Like, this is it. Like, what was keeping you going and what was your why at that time? Since it was kind of like, oh shit, like this is real. Like, I
Mm.
need, you're in the downslope of that. Tell me a little bit about like your headspace and what was keeping you going.
I would wake up and I'd be like, I have literally everything. I have an opportunity that's providing a great life for me. I had a really nice apartment in Simi Valley. I had a really nice truck. I had great relationships. I had I had everything. I had my time back. I had the freedom to do whatever I wanted,
Yeah.
to produce as much as I wanted. And I was like, man, this is really a blessing. And when I turned 25, I really realized like, man, I'm 25 years old. It seems like yesterday I was 16.
Yeah.
Life is flying by fast. And if you're not appreciating every single moment you know, that you're in, and if you're not happy, then you need to have a change of pace. And I would just wake up and I would say, man, I have everything. I can get, I can eat so good now. I can buy chicken. I mean, I have a freaking smoker and a grill. Like life
Yeah.
is good. I'm in shape. I'm healthy.
Yeah.
And, and that's what I focused on. Life
Yeah.
is short. I'm 31 now
Yeah.
and I'm a cinder. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't, I try not to stress and try not to worry about small things.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you have your life, then every day is a blessing. And I know it sounds cliche, but once you realize that, you tend to do a lot more, and you tend to
Yeah.
be free and feel free and reclaim your happiness.
Yeah.
And so
I
that's
mean,
why
yeah, that's incredible. Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
that that's my that was my why. And not only my life, but I have the opportunity to change other people's lives. People comment on the videos, they're like, dude, I watched your video 3 months ago and it made me want to work on my running, and now I ran my fastest 5K. And
That's
every
awesome.
time I read those comments, I remember me running my first 5K, and I remember me training for the Navy and how happy I was. And it's a very fulfilling feeling knowing that I had a positive change on somebody out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, I 100% agree. And I think, I mean, it just goes back to being grateful for what you
Hmm.
do have. And I preach that a lot too. We got one life, man. One life. Like, make the best of it. Do the things that you love to do. I'm all for it. So I love that.
Thank you.
So let's dig into then. Like, you're now full-time YouTube creator. We have this facility. I guess this is where you had started the battle bunker
Hmm.
itself. So tell me about battle bunker, how that idea came about, and then what that whole process looked like.
Yeah, so having a YouTube channel named Austen Alexander, it was kind of selfish to me. I was like, I want to build something that's more than just Austen Alexander. I want this legacy to continue even when I'm not here.
Yeah.
And when I was getting out of the Navy, I said, you know what? The best performing videos on my channel are obstacle course videos and challenge videos. I said, I don't care how I do it. I'm going to find a way to build my own course that I can film on it 24/7 if I wanted. And we're going to make a badass series, and we're going to call the obstacle course the Battle Bunker.
Yeah.
So I started looking for land. This was late 2020 before I was about to get out.
Okay.
And I hopped on Zillow. I found a parcel of land for 10 grand in in where is it at? Lancaster, California.
Okay.
I called the agent. I said, I didn't do any research. Like, great executor, terrible planner. I purchased this land. I sent half of the money to escrow. I said, I'm going to get
Okay.
this 10 grand. I'm going to build a freaking course. And of course, they took the money happily. And they're like, okay, cool. We're signing over the leases and everything. And my manager's like, dude, are you sure you can build a course on this? You might want to check with the permits. So I reached out to the county of LA, county of LA, which is anything in LA is a freaking nightmare. And
Yeah.
they said, yeah, you're good to build a course on this. You just need 3 surveys. You need an ecological area survey, you need a barn owl survey, you need a desert tortoise survey because they're endangered
Okay.
species.
Gotcha.
They said, here's the survey guy. I called him. He's like, yeah, man, I can do the the ecological survey for 30, and then everyone else is 10. I'm like thinking, all right, $30. Okay, cool. I'm like, that's $50. That's not bad at all. And I got back to him. He's like, no, it's 30,000. And I was
Holy
like, so I was
smokes.
gonna have to invest another 50 grand before I even got the course.
Yeah.
So I was like, do I just go against what the city says and not get the permits and build it and potentially get arrested and sued and whatnot? So
Uh-huh.
I decided not to go that route.
Yeah.
And this is the same time I was in the Navy.
Okay.
So that fell through. And I'm like, man,
Gotcha.
this obs course is never going to be. I was thinking I have to keep pushing. I have to keep, doing whatever. And I told my manager about it. He's like, oh, I have a friend that owns a paintball course. Let's give him a call.
Oh,
He had a perfect parcel out there. He even had tanks and Humvees, and like it
yeah.
was a
Sick.
paintball course. He
Yeah.
said he said I can lease this to you, tiny tiny area, less than 1 acre. I can do it for like 5 grand a month. And I was like, hmm. And then I started checking around some more, and I reached out to another place called Ambush Paintball. I got
Okay.
in contact with a dude named Glenn. He said, "Yeah, come." He said, "I'm not really sure what you want out here to build a course. Like, you're gonna run mud runs?" I was like, "No, I'm gonna film videos." He's like, "Well, how are you gonna pay for it?" I said, "I make money from the videos." He's like, "Okay, whatever." So I went out there. He takes me on this beautiful tour, 80
Yeah.
acres in the middle of
Wow.
like the desert, perfect flat
Uh-huh.
land, rolling
Nice.
hills, old water towers,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm going to build a course out here. He's like, yeah, I've got all the permits where you can do whatever you want because it's agricultural area. And I said, how much do you want? He's like, I don't know, just give me like 3 grand a month. I said, how fast can you develop a lease? So I signed the lease. We moved to Simi Valley, California. and I built the first battle bunker obstacle course. It took me 40 days. I did it on terminal leave from the Navy, and
Okay.
I built the course. I had 3 or 4 friends that came to help me. I was renting tractors and building hills and everything.
Yeah.
Had electrical companies come out and put poles in there. And the day that I got out of the Navy was the first day that we filmed the first Battle Bunker episode in 2020. And
Nice.
first episode flunked.
Oof. Okay.
Second episode flunked. I'm like, well, this is
Uh,
probably, I don't know about this. I said, but I'm gonna
yeah.
keep pushing. And I'm gonna go homeless to make this work if it
Yeah.
needs to be. Third video or fourth video we published, it hit like, that was one of the ones that really upticked the Battle Bunker episode, and I think it hit like 1 million, 2 million views. And the
Wow.
thing with YouTube, one video can change your life,
Yeah.
and so that's when it started upswing. So that's how I got the first Battle Bunker land. Flash forward to 2022, early 2022. I said, I want to host events. Like, videos are not enough for me anymore. I want to connect with people, and I want people to
Yeah.
come to our events. And people would ask, like, dude, when are you having a Battle Bunker event? I want to come out there.
Yeah.
And I like to shoot for the top.
Hmm.
If I'm like, I don't like to like go down and say, oh, well, I'll settle here. I'm like, what do I want and how do I get there?
Yeah.
So I had been introduced to the Chula Vista Elite Athlete Training Center in
Okay.
2022 early from one of my friend, Michelle Carre, filmed a video there. Beautiful facility, hardly anybody there, just
Yeah.
beautiful facility. So I called him. I said, hey, my name's Austen Alexander. I own a company called Battle Bunker. Can I have a meeting with you guys? Next thing you know, I was meeting with the president, and I think I was like on an email chain with the mayor of Chula Vista, and I was like, "Hey,
Yeah.
I want to build an obstacle course inside of your facility. You guys can use it. We're going to use it to film videos and host competitions on." And finally, after 3 or 4 months, they said yes. So I canceled
No
the
kidding.
one, and remember, terrible planner, great executor.
Yeah.
I canceled the one in Simi Valley. Immediately, I moved to San Diego, moved my whole life to San Diego,
Yeah.
which is where I am currently. And we built
Okay.
the obstacle course inside the training center. It took the guys about 35 days,
Yeah.
and
That's crazy.
it's a 22 obstacle course, and we still have it.
That's so and that's the Olympic Training Center?
Yes, it's where.
Wow, that's incredible.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's an incredible place. I mean,
Yeah.
they have 180 acres
That's
out there,
wild.
and we have a like a 4 acre parcel. We have the obstacle course on, and we've filmed 10, 15 videos out there,
Yeah.
and we've hosted 2 competitions out there, which is now the
Yeah.
HybriCon Games.
Yes.
And it's been great. We've been able to do a lot, connect with the community. We have open course events where people will purchase a ticket for like 10, 15 bucks. They'll come out, they'll
Yeah.
learn the course, and they'll just have the best time of their lives out there.
Yeah. That is so awesome. That's so cool to see it grow from that one
Thank you.
spot into the freaking Olympic Training Center. I mean,
Yeah,
that is so legit.
I couldn't believe that they said that I was actually there. I was like, man, this is
Yeah.
crazy. I just look at the course. I'm like, I get emotional because I think of
Yeah.
all the tough times, and I'm like, this is really worth it.
Yeah. I think that shows also just the power of asking, right?
100%. I
You
mean,
never know.
a lot of people fear rejection. I do too, still to this day. But
Sure.
once you get over that fear a little and you start to develop the courage to ask people, it's the
Yeah.
best thing that you can do.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
do. I like to say no ask, no get. So you might as well ask.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And people look at me stupid now because I ask some outlandish things and they tell me no, but 5% of them say yes, and that leads to great
Yeah.
opportunity.
Exactly. Super cool. That's incredible to see that whole transformation happen. So, from the actual battle bunker course that you have now there, where did the idea for the battle bunker bus come into play?
Yeah, this is the popular one. When people see me, they're like, "Oh, you're the Battle Bunker Bus guy." They don't even know
Yeah.
my name.
Uh-huh.
Hundreds of millions of views on my YouTube channel. They don't even know
Yeah.
me. The Battle
Uh-huh.
Bus, on the other hand, has
Nice.
achieved a little over 3 billion views across social.
Holy cow.
And that's one of those things where I just didn't care about it. I said, I'm going to be myself. I'm going to talk to people. I'm just going to have a great time.
Yeah.
And the idea came in 2021, before I
Uh-huh.
had moved the obstacle course, I bought this van, and I was like, you know what? My income was pretty decent. I said, I'm going to buy the creepiest van that I can find just because I think it's funny. I
Yeah.
bought a 1986 Dodge Ram B250, and
Okay.
it squeaked a little bit when it was rolling down there, and it was a cream color. I bought it
Okay.
from a guy that worked. He was a sheriff at LA County, and I said this is gonna be the battle bunker bus, and I used it to like haul equipment and everything out to the battle bunker and sandbags and
Okay.
everything. I said, you know what, I'm gonna wrap this green. So I wrapped it
Nice.
this olive green color, and I would just drive it around the course. And then me being a creator, full time creator, you constantly every single day, almost every hour, you're monitoring the creative landscape, what's happening
Yeah.
on social strategies, algorithms, everything. And I see the rise of short form. It was musically, and then TikTok really started to
Yeah.
take off, and people were like, man, this is booming. And
Mm-hmm.
I said I need to be able to develop these short vertical videos because I realized how important it was. Facebook Reels was just being
Yeah.
enacted, Instagram Reels, and there was TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And I said I need a specific short form series that we can produce consistently and we can produce every single day to grow the name of Battle Bunker.
Yeah.
The first iteration was crazy. I said, I'm gonna have my friend do a plank in the battle bus, and I'm gonna drive fast around corners to see how fast to see if he can hold
That's
on.
wild. Oh my
So I
gosh.
have my friend Francisco doing a plank, and I've got 2 or 3 GoPros in there, and
Yeah.
I'm just whipping this van.
That's hilarious.
He's falling and everything. And I created it, I posted it. They're like, dude, this is dangerous. What are you doing? Are you
Yeah.
promoting? And then I was like, okay, this is not a good idea.
Yeah.
I said, let's take a step back a little bit. So then I would just shoot with my phone, like go POV action. And I'd say, hey, go up to my friend and say, hey, can you row 50 meters in 10 seconds? And they're like, well, I
Uh-huh.
guess let's try it. And then we made a few of those.
Yeah.
And I said, I realistically can't be going up to people with my phone. So I kind of perfected it and optimized it. And I had my cousin Braxton film me with a camera,
Uh-huh.
and obviously, and I put a microphone on, and I parked at the local gym, and I started asking people. I was like, hey, can you do pull-ups? I'll give you $1 for every pull-up. And they're like,
Yeah.
well, sure, dude. This sounds like cool. This sounds awesome. People were
Yeah.
happy about it. I wasn't filming anybody that didn't want to be filmed.
Yeah.
90% of people would say no, but the 10% of people, we'd go out and we filmed 15 or 20 interactions with me just
Yeah.
paying people. It was a feel-good series. I was having fun. They were having fun.
Nice.
Literally benefited everybody.
Uh-huh.
And I had a friend edit those videos down. We started posting them on TikTok.
Yeah.
And this is way before Battle Bunker Bus Instagram, Battle Bunker Bus Facebook. We didn't have any of that. We just posted
Okay.
on Battle Bunker. And posted 1, didn't do well. Posted 2, didn't do well. Posted 3, didn't do well. I said, well, if this is not picking up, then I'm just going to stop.
Uh-huh.
And I think the third or fourth video on TikTok went to like 3 or 4 million views. The
Dang.
next one was like 500K. The next one, 2 million. The
Yeah.
next one, 5 million. The next one, 16 million. I was like,
Wow.
maybe we have something here.
Yeah.
So I kept creating with the
Yeah.
Battle Bunker Bus. And what a lot of people don't know, a lot of creators don't even know this, is you have certain programs that you can get into that pay you
Mm-hmm.
money. So I entered the Facebook Reels program. They invited me. They're like, hey, you're a short form creator. Would you like to get paid for Reels?
Yeah.
Best program I've ever been a part of. I
Nice.
started posting 1 video per day on Facebook Reels, and a lot of people don't believe me when I say this, but first month I think we earned like 4 or 5 grand. I was like, okay, cool. This paid for the bus,
Yeah.
and that was in December. And then January we earned like 11 or 12 grand. I was like, okay, cool. This
What?
paid for the wrap, and this allows me to
Yeah.
give more money to people. February, March, April were $30,000 months, and
That's crazy.
I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this money, but I'm gonna invest it somewhere else. Like a lot of
Yeah.
YouTubers, they'll go buy a Lamborghini because they think they're
Yeah.
cool,
Yeah.
and a
Yeah.
Porsche.
Sure.
And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna give out bands. I rolled up to
Yeah.
the next location. I'm like, hey, I'll give you $10 for every pull up.
Yeah.
And people were like, well, dude, okay. So everybody gets excited. everybody started to know us in the Simi Valley area. Like, hey, this
Yeah.
dude gives that freaking money for
Yeah.
pull-ups, and I can do 10 pull-ups. And I would post it, and people would travel to the locations, and we developed
Yeah.
a text list and email list. We have
That's
10,000 people on
awesome.
a text list. And so from there, throughout 2020, we were earning like between 15 to 20, sometimes $10,000 months
Holy cow.
with Battle Bus. And it was a great year. I was like, is this even my life right now? I'm
Yeah.
making YouTube videos, doing the Battle Bus, meeting people, and getting paid a lot of money for it, which in return we just gave away, you know.
Yeah. That's so
So
awesome.
thank you, and that's how the Battle Bus came to be. And since then, they've phased out the Reels program, and we don't
Yeah.
really earn a lot on the series anymore. We still produce it. We still publish one every single day because people love it, and I love it,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
wouldn't ever stop it. And 3 billion views to this date. And every time, like, I went out to the airport last night, I got recognized by 3 people. And one of the security
Yeah.
guys at the airport was like, "Dude, I love your videos," because I drove the van.
Yes.
A guy at In and Out was like, "Dude, no way. Are you the pull up guy?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then at a stoplight, people are like, "Hey, Battle Bus guy, what's up? I love you." So people recognize me all the time from
That's
it
so
just because,
awesome.
thank you. And that's how the Battle Bunker Bus came to be.
Very cool. I mean, incredible. The success that you've seen with these things is absolutely incredible. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
job well done.
Thank you. I do want to mention that it's not always just post and success. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
took
yeah.
me 3 months of constant trying to perfect that series.
Yeah.
The way I spoke to people, my greeting, the intro, and the videos, everything. A lot of work goes into it, and that's where a lot of entrepreneurs and creators fall off, because when they put so much time into this thing and it doesn't work the first or
Yeah.
second time, they say, "I can't handle this mentally," and then they back down.
Yeah. I think that's, I mean, it's extremely important then is to stay consistent and to, like, you have to keep pushing. Like, you just, and you never know, like, when it's going to take off. So,
Yeah.
if that's something that you really want, then you have to continue.
Hmm.
So Battle Bunker Bus, the Austen Alexander YouTube channel, like there's a lot of different things you got going on. But like tell me a little bit about the creative process. Like where does it start? Like do you have just a bank of ideas? Who's on your team? Like how is that whole process working now?
Yeah. So 2020, in 2020, I had met a guy named Ivanov. He's Bulgarian. He's a funny dude, but he takes his work very seriously. And
Okay.
we started doing some work together. Paid him $100 an hour, which is freaking crazy for me at the time. And he really cared, and he was passionate about my projects. I had never
Yeah.
experienced that before. I'm like, why is this guy so passionate about what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And he was just, you know, a great all around guy. And throughout 30, 40 people that I've worked with, freelance editors, freelance whoever, he was the guy that remained consistent because we worked so well together. And in 2022, we were taking on big projects for brands, you know, 6-figure deals for cell phone companies and Lenny and Larry's Cookie
Yeah.
and everything. I said, I cannot handle this by myself. I need you to move with me to San Diego full time. I'll give you whatever you want. And I need you to pick up your 16-year life as a
Yeah.
freelance videographer in LA and come to San Diego with me. And
Uh-huh.
he's like, "Nah, dude, I don't think I want to do that." I was like, "All right." And then a day later, he reached out. He said, "Let's do this." So he
Wow.
moved with me in 2022. He moved with me here.
Okay.
And like I said, great executor, horrible planner. Ivan
Okay.
is kind of like swapped.
Okay.
Great planner. He plans so much that the execution is less.
I
But
see.
I'm a fine median in there where I'm execute, and now
Yeah.
he's picked up the planning.
Okay.
So the creative process would look like this. We try to post 2 YouTube videos a month.
Okay.
I look at the landscape and what's happening and what's going on in a challenge that I want to take on in my personal life, like run a marathon. Say,
Yeah.
okay, I want to run a marathon. And he takes it, we break the video down like this, what's going to happen at 2 minutes and 13 seconds. This is what's going to happen at 6 minutes and 48 seconds. Like
Okay.
he has OCD and it's very
Wow.
obvious, but
Yeah.
it works well.
Yeah.
So he's the creative director. Is sometimes the editor if needed. He's the file
Okay.
transfer guy. He's the main videographer.
Okay.
He's everything. He's my prompter. He's like, I need you to look angry now. And I'm like, okay. See, he evokes emotion. And
Yeah.
so since then, since I hired Ivan, we've also hired 2 short form editors. One takes over Battle Bunker Bus. One takes over Hypercon Games, Battle Bunker, Operation Good Boy. and our main editor takes on the main Austen Alexander YouTube productions, just because there's so much that goes into it. So
Gotcha.
it's a team of 5 people, including me now, and
Yeah.
Ivan lives 2 minutes down the road from me.
Nice.
He's coming over um, in an hour to film a short for a brand, and it's just a really great synergy. And through that, I've learned leadership skills and how to speak to people and how to lead a team
Yeah.
effectively, but still where they want to wake up and work for you, work with you,
Yeah.
and they're incentivized, which is another important thing. So I've just been tossed in this world of just learning business and learning everything:
Yeah.
taxes, marketing, branding, leadership, hiring, firing,
Yeah.
and it's been a whirlwind.
Yeah. That's so wild. But I mean, important to have a team like that that you can count on and that you gel with and that you're
Yes,
all on the same page and they're motivated to also succeed. So
yes,
that's
yeah,
a
and
difficult in itself trying to find that.
it is. And what I see a lot of owners doing now is seeing their team as replaceable.
Mm,
If you hire someone, you shouldn't look at them as replaceable.
yeah.
You should put enough trust in them with time to be able to incentivize them, whether
Yeah.
it's through just updates, whether it's monetarily, whether it's through a bonus, whether it's through a new laptop, whether it's through, hey, I'm going to fly you out and we're just going to have dinner, you
Yeah.
know? So incentivization goes a long way, because if you can get your people to go to war with you, you're already winning.
Yeah. Fantastic, dude. So with all of this, I mean, you mentioned also there's the HybriCon games, which is
Yes.
a new event that you had put on. So I mean, let's talk about that, but I also want to know what your plans are. Like, where do you want to see all of this go? Where do you want to see your YouTube channel go? Where do you want to see Battle Bunker go and Battle Bunker Bus and then
Mhm.
HybriCon games? Like, what does the future look like for all of this?
So Hybricon Games was born from the Battle Bunker ecosystem.
Hmm.
I see Battle Bunker as a parent brand now. We have three kind of sister brands.
Like
We have
branches?
exactly we have Hybricon Games, we have Battle Bunker Bus, we have Battle Bunker Unbroken series, which is a digital series. Hybricon Games was born from a guy reached out to me, Hunter McIntyre. He's like, dude, I love what you're doing. This reminds me of
Hmm.
Broken Skull Ranch. This reminds me of what I love to do.
Yeah.
And I think we should host a competition. And in 2022, we decided, hey, we're going to put on the first Battle Bunker competition. We called it the Battle Bunker Flagship Competition. We invited 68 athletes from around the world: Mexico, Australia, some European countries, and these people flew out on their own dime and paid us from their own dime
Yeah.
to enter this competition. We gave away $20,000 cash and hosted a great competition, and we filmed it and created media and started to share in it.
Hmm.
And that was the first iteration of HybriCon Game. Didn't really know what we were doing. I had never put on a competition before, but I was learning everything from live streams to organization to creating maps for the athletes to creating driving directions and
Yeah.
emails and everything. And at the time, like, I was trying to do all this stuff. Great executor, terrible planner.
Hmm.
So people were like, I don't get it. Is Battle Bunker an obstacle course, or is it a bus, or is it a competition, or what is it? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. So I said, clearly we need to brand this as a different thing. So the next year, I realized that the competition was a very hybrid competition. It wasn't a CrossFit competition, wasn't
Yeah.
a tactical competition. It was a hybrid. It was a mix
Hmm.
of everything, every sport in the practical world. And you see the rise of hybrid, coming up with High Rocks and with these different competitions and with all these influencers being hybrid now. I said, I need a title for this and I need to trademark it, and we need to have a name for this sport and this competition. So Hybricon was the term. It's hybrid conditioning, just
Yeah.
shortened. In the military, we use a lot of terms like DEF CON
Yeah.
and Stuff Con. So it really fit.
Yeah.
So the next year, 2023, we rolled into it. 2023 HybriCon games. We developed this entire pipeline, online submissions, and then Eastern and Western regionals, and we had people flood into the system and send in all their scores, which is very
Yeah.
overwhelming. I was up. I didn't sleep for 2 or 3 weeks judging and have my friends look at the videos and and judging and everything.
Yeah.
We flew out to Texas to host Western regionals and then North
Hmm.
Carolina to host Eastern regionals. We had these, I was doing logistics behind t-shirts and gear and
Yeah.
hydration and insurance and waivers for all these athletes. So I was learning all that at the time. So that was the 2023 Hypercon Games. We hosted it in October. It was a 3-day event. I'm sorry, 2-day event. And we had a grit day, which was the mental test, and we had field day, which
Okay.
was more of a fun, like really sprinty and explosive type of working out or competition. And Hunter is the race director still to this day, and we've hired a guy, Matt Stevens, who's been in the hybrid and tactical world. He's our operations director, and it's just a big collab. We have so much fun with
Yeah.
it because we're like, you know what? I've never seen a competition where people have to strap themselves to each other and pull each other away. Let's do that. And so we just come up with our own,
Yeah.
very challenging workouts for these athletes, and
Yeah.
it's exciting. So that's
That's
how the
awesome.
Hybridcon Games was born. And this
Yeah.
year, we just finished up the HQT, which I was talking to you about earlier.
Uh-huh.
One of the gyms, B23 Athletics, was kind enough to host our qualifier there. We had 21 gyms across the world that
Yeah.
hosted our qualifier: Brazil, France, Hawaii, Canada, United States, and we had all these athletes show up and compete.
Hmm.
And now we're in the selection process for the 2024 HybridCon Games, which is going to be a lot more intense and a lot more insane.
Yeah.
And so that's how HybridCon Games was born. It's a hybrid competition. We don't do
Gotcha.
gymnastics. We don't do Olympic lifting. We don't do moves that are impractical in the real world. All of these scenarios and everything they do, from strongman to endurance events, it's
Yeah.
all practical, and it's cool because hybrid has a lower barrier to entry, because if you can run and do a little swimming and lift some weights, then you're good.
Yeah.
But the HybridCon Games is the most elite hybrid competition in the world, and we give away
Yeah.
the highest cash prize of any hybrid competition in the entire world, even more than High Rocks. So
Nice, man.
that's what makes HybridCon Games so unique.
That's super cool. Yeah, I'm excited to see 2024 play out and what that looks like.
It's stressful, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, right on. So then with the direction with everything, I mean, so YouTube, all these different, the whole battle bunker brand with the
Hmm.
bus, the Hypercon games. What would you say, like, I want to kind of understand, like, how do you define success, and do you think you have found success up to this point?
You hear this all the time, and I can attest to it because I've had some pretty low lows and very high highs.
Yeah.
Success is not based on the amount of money that you make, and it's not based on your job, your career. It's based on moments that you can sit down and you ask yourself, am I happy or not? Between your personal relationships, between your business relationships, between your business, the way you conduct business, the way you talk to people, the way you hold yourself, the way people look at you, most
Hmm.
importantly, you have to take all that into account, and you have to look back and say, am I doing good, and do I believe that I'm doing good?
Yeah.
Have I righted all my wrongs? And and you have to be able to sit back and realize that if you've done all that and you're good, then that's happiness. I I've met homeless people on the street that are happy, and
Yeah.
I've met people that are in some bizarre circumstances and they're happy, and I've met
Yeah.
the people that make $100 million a year, but their health is not good and they are not happy.
Hmm.
So success is defined by happiness and fulfillment, and if you have that, then that's the most important.
Yeah. I
The
love that.
reason why, and people may ask, well, if you're happy now, then why do you want to keep achieving? Because the more people that I can affect and make them happy, then my job is secure. My job is done.
Yeah.
So where do I want to go? I want to affect more people. I love in person meetings and community. It's
Yeah.
very important to me. So I want to continue developing that with Battle Bunker. We've made the option, or we've decided to phase out the course just because it's that's old battle bunker. New battle bunker is very in the hybrid space. So I do want to
Hmm.
create a functional fitness group gym
Okay.
people
Nice.
can come
Okay.
to. And I just want to do the most bizarre things. Like I want to give people free smoothies on a Saturday, like
Yeah.
things that things that gym owners don't do. I want to
Yeah.
pay people to do freaking pull-ups. I want
That's
to give
awesome.
people $1,000 if they can flip a tire more than 10
Yeah.
times. I just want to do things that aren't necessarily business smart, but are happiness and fulfillment smart.
Yeah. I like
And I
that.
think that's what's pushed me forward to this day because we don't earn any money with HybridCon games, but we give away 30 grand. Like who does
Yeah.
that? Nobody.
Yeah.
So that's how I define happiness, and that's where I want to take all this.
Okay. So on that, I mean, before we kind of close out here, I would love to know what would be like a piece of, one strong piece of advice that you would give your younger self.
Hmm.
What would that be?
When I was younger, I used to worry a lot about what people thought about me. I used
Hmm.
to overanalyze everything, overthink, which 90% of young people do. That's a good thing about getting older is you care less about what people think, and it's
Yeah.
such a freeing feeling. I would I would look back and tell myself like, hey, you are capable of much more than what you're doing right now, and you should just release the restraints of overthinking, and you should worry less about what people think. Just
Yeah.
worry less in general, because once you find that, then you can really unlock your potential. Well, we're limited by ourselves and our thinking, and that's the truth. Like if
Hmm.
you want to go run 100 miles, you can do it. A lot of people say, "Oh, I can't do that," but if you train for it and you want to do it, you can absolutely do it.
Yeah.
And that's what held me back for the longest time is overthinking. Like, hey, I can't do this. And I think that shift of my mind has helped me get to where I am today. And if my life really started at 25.
Uh-huh.
That's when that shift. And I remember when I was watching a video of this guy selling stuff on Amazon, and he was like 19. I was like,
Hmm.
man, if I found this 5 or 6 years earlier, there's no telling where I would be. So I
Yeah.
tell people my life started at 25 years old,
Yeah.
and I try every single day to live life to the fullest, to live up my true capability. And I found myself doing it the other day. I've been wanting to run a marathon for the longest time, and I'm thinking like, why don't you do it? And then my half of my brain saying, well, you have to train for it, and you have to be fast, and you have to do all this stuff, and people are going to wonder why you're doing a marathon. But my good brain, good side of my brain was like, no, dude, just do it. Just do the marathon. Worst case
Yeah.
scenario is you don't finish it. And so, without training, I had only run 11 miles before. Without training, I hopped on a ferry to Catalina and ran 26 miles in the mountains.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show, like, if you want to do something, you can do it. Like, I swam 4 miles in the Hudson Bay. Hate swimming. I hate
Yeah.
the ocean. Terribly
Yeah.
afraid of it. But I hopped in and I said, I'm either going to die or I'm going to finish. And I finished.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
I know that was
That's
long
awesome.
winded, but that's what I would tell myself.
And no, I think that that's a powerful message. And I think you have an incredible story, and it's been awesome getting to talk to you about it and see like where you came from, where you're at now, and where you want to go.
Thank you very much.
And I'm excited to watch it all continue to grow and to continue to follow your journey, Austin. It's awesome,
Thank
man.
you. Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate that.
So, lastly, where can people find you? Like, we're gonna link stuff below, but like, where can people find you and all that you're up to?
Probably the best place, the most active place is Instagram. I'm on there every single day making some stupid and motivational stories. So Instagram is just at Austen, Austen, Alex. And if you want to find like the professional, more produced side of me, that's on YouTube. Instagram's more real and raw. YouTube is story driven and and production driven.
Yeah, very cool. So yeah, go ahead, give them a follow, subscribe to them on
Thank you.
YouTube, follow the Battle Bunker and the Hypercon games. I'm sure a lot of awesome stuff coming there. So excited to see it. But
Thank you
overall,
very much.
Austin, thank you so much for being here today and for chatting with me. I
Of
appreciate it.
course. Very nice to meet you. It's great to chat with you.
Right on. All right, guys. Well, that was the That Fit Friend podcast. Be sure to follow us, subscribe, follow Austin,
Yes,
and
subscribe.
I'm Rachel. We'll see you in the next one. Bing.
Perfect.
All right, man.
I'm
I
I'm glad
appreciate that.
I'm glad you like sometimes when I do podcasts, the outro with me is the outro with the audience, and it's kind of awkward because they'll just end the call and they'll send me an
Oh,
email. Great chatting with you.
yeah.
So yeah, that was
Hopefully
good.
that stopped. But hey,
Great questions.
that was awesome. No, I mean, I'm genuinely just interested in your whole story, and it's incredible it is really incredible to see the success that you've had with all of it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Because
It's
yeah, dude, hold on, stop recording. Please try again. Hold on, my recording stopped. Failed.
yeah, it
I
still
hope.
says live. Give me 2 seconds. I gotta
All
pee.
right.
Drink a lot of water.
I hope this thing freaking stops recording.